Good evening and welcome to the May 14th Medfield School Committee meeting. We have just returned from executive session. We're going to begin tonight with the public hearing regarding participation in the school choice program for the 26-27 school year. The format for tonight's hearing will be as follows. We'll first hear from Dr. Marsden. School committee members will have an opportunity to ask clarifying questions. We'll then open the hearing for public comment and questions in person and online. Following public comment, we'll close the hearing, and then the school committee will deliberate and vote before moving on to the remainder of tonight's business meeting. At this time, I'd like to formally open the school choice public hearing with a roll call of school committee members. Michelle Kirkby here.
Neil Brem here.
Sophia Viglas here.
Michael McCabe here.
Rosalie Weiss here.
Thank you. Dr. Marsden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in your materials, I have a memo that I put together just with a recommendation, my opinion, in terms of school choice and what I think I would ask you to do. So under Mass General Law, Chapter 76, Section 12B, all school districts in Massachusetts are presumed to participate in and admit non-residential students through the school choice program. School choice created an option for a family to enroll their child in a school district outside of where the child lives. Essentially, if the Medfield Public Schools participated in school choice, a child could live in any Massachusetts town and attend school in Medfield until high school graduation. Medfield has never participated in school choice for the 35 years it has been the law. If you look at other like districts, you will see the same pattern of voting no for school choice. For example, Hopkinton, Dover, Sherburne, Wayland, Weston, Wellesley, Needham, Concord, Westwood, and many others do not admit students through the school choice program. Although there is an opportunity to gain revenue of $5,000 per student and to add students outside the Medfield to our add to our enrollment, there are several concerns to consider when determining whether to participate in the school choice program, and they are as follows. Number one, increase the class size over and above Medfield enrollment. Students, teachers, and parents enjoy low class sizes especially the secondary level. Additional non-Medfield students would increase the student-teacher ratio in both core classes and electives. Given the budget situation for FY27 and FY28, I feel we need to prioritize Medfield students. Two, reduction of opportunities for Medfield students. In addition to increasing class sizes and potentially limiting access to classes and electives, non-Medfield students would take away opportunities in our athletic, music, and theater programs. Three, Medfield taxpayers subsidizing the education of non-Medfield students. Medfield currently spends over $20,000 per student to educate Medfield students. School choice students would require Medfield residents to subsidize another $15,000 per student. Lack of control when demand outweighs slots. A lottery system would need to be put in place if the demand for non-Medfield students is larger than the seats open in a particular grade level. Next, the commitment to siblings enrolled in school choice. Medfield be required to give priority admission to non-Medfield students' siblings should slots become available in a particular grade level. This is an additional responsibility and/or expense for students not living in Medfield. Implications to local real estate. Parents always say they move to Medfield for the schools. In March of 2025, Medfield was recognized as a top place to live by Boston Magazine and the fastest rising property value at 29.2% increase in 1 year and 65.5% since 2019. Medfield was also recognized by Boston Globe Magazine as a top spot to live west of Boston for over $1 million. Why would you pay Medfield prices if you could live somewhere else and send your children to the Medfield Public Schools? A local real estate agent has told me there could be negative real estate impact if we decide to go with school choice. These concerns and challenges highlight the impact that participating in the school choice program could have on our district. Based on these reasons, I continue to recommend the Medfield Public Schools does not participate in the school choice program for FY27.
Thank you. Anyone up here have any questions about the school choice program? Okay. All right. Let's see. At this time, we'll move to public comment. This is an opportunity for the committee to hear perspectives from members of the community. We ask that the comments remain related to school choice participation. There will be an additional public comment period after the hearing for any other topics. To ensure everyone who wishes to speak has the opportunity to do so, we ask that speakers try to keep comments to approximately 3 minutes. If you're on Zoom, please raise your Zoom hand. We ask that you keep your camera on when making a Zoom comment, and whether you're here in person or on Zoom, please state your name and address for the record. Comments here or online?
No hands raised.
Who was here before me? Oh my dear goodness. Okay, that's better. Hi, Kristen Simonini, 431 Main Street, mother of Medfield High School student and former school committee member. Having had responsibility to vote on this decision last year, I am well versed on what school choice means and have taken the time to understand the facts. When it was my duty to vote, I spoke to several parents on the topic to hear their perspective. With that information in hand, my vote was against school choice. Were I to be sitting at that table with you now tonight, that would still be my vote. I'm not a math wizard, but I know that if expenses are higher than income, we've got a problem. And speaking as a tax-paying citizen, the numbers do not add up. What we pay to educate a child exceeds the purported income of what would be paid to accept a child through school choice. Therefore, any argument that this could help us save funds is, I feel, erroneous, certainly at the scale at which our community would be impacted. Also, what I would consider our peer neighboring schools, those providing the same level of support, education, and outcomes that our school does, do not offer this as well. Now, speaking to you as a mother of a school-age student, other challenges that I see is that our students might not be able to participate in all the programming they want if spots are taken by students from another district. We already have a very competitive situation, both through our athletics and academics. I know, having seen a child be turned down for his must-have AP class, how hard that can be, and this only widens that pool. Also, the increased cost to our school also impact our size of classrooms and the programs available that could also negatively impact our educators. And now I want to speak to you as a single working mother who chooses to pay a premium to live in a community like Medfield, specifically for the quality of the education that my child receives. If I can move to a community with a lower cost of living and still send my child to school here, why would I stay? I like to think that my son and I are strong contributing members to this community through our participation in activities and volunteer and service commitments. I'll be running out of here hot tonight to get to a scout meeting to help kids with their merit badges. I love being a part of this community, and as does my son, and being contributing members in many ways. But I ask you, what is the long-term impact to our town as a whole if people can opt to not be fully all in with Medfield? What does the loss start to look like as families choose to leave? I see that as a longer-term concern for the health of our community, not just our school. If I can get the benefits without paying full freight, what is the incentive? As taxpayers, we all want to get creative about ways to save our town money or find alternative sources of income, and I appreciate that, but I do not believe this is that opportunity. This is going to harm the educational environment our children currently have access to, and when that starts to happen, our community will start to look a lot less appealing. And when that starts to happen, our property values will take a hit. You have not solved a problem with a yes vote, but I do believe you will have created a new one. My ask to the school committee tonight is that you continue to look at this from a balanced perspective with a focus on the families, students, and educators directly impacted by a decision like this. And I ask that those in opposition also take a hard look at the financials and longer-term impact of such a decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Potts, 7 Curve Street. So I have some questions for the school committee first. Is the one-page memo that you received in that packet the only information that you got on school choice?
From whom?
From the superintendent.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the only information you got. Okay, so I am going to take this opportunity to actually share some data, because a decision like this should not be based on conversations on the street. It should really be based on hard data. So first I want to start by saying that based on DESE information, we already have 152 students who are tuitioned in with money that are paid for parents and guardians. Of those, we have agreements with Medway, Norwood, and Walpole. This is on the DESE website as of 2026. My question is, so how much are they paying in tuition? And these have nothing to do with special education. So if we are already accepting students from other districts, how much are they paying in tuition?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Chris.
It's on the DESI website.
152 students?
That's what it says.
I have no
There's
idea.
one each, there's at least one each from Medway, Norwood, and Walpole. So my question is, how
One-
much
one
are they?
each doesn't equal 152, that's, I'm not sure we get.
All I'm saying, so I'm just giving you specific towns. So clearly, we have students from Medway, Norwood, and Walpole who are paying tuition to come to Medfield. So my question is, how much are they paying us?
And you're saying they're not in special ed?
It specifically says on the DESI website they're not special ed. So my question is, if we're getting tuition from other students, what are we getting from them? Are we charging them $20,000 for per student cost?
I'm only aware of special education students that are in the district, so.
I have the data, so I can, happy to share it with you.
Love to see it, thank you.
The other question is, so when you look at the data for, on the DESI website for this current school year, 713 high school students. In 2013, we had 903 high school students. We have 567 middle school students. In 2013, we had 695 students. This was close to our peak. Now, out of those, and additionally, MSBA just came out with their facility report. There's what they're called their school survey report that showed that in the high school, we're only using 46% of its capacity. In the middle school, we're using 58% of its capacity. What is that data based on?
You know how they do that, Chris?
I would love to know how they do that. Last time I asked, you didn't know.
I'll tell you, because they were just here to do it. The gentleman comes with an iPad, and he walks around the building, and he asks how many kids go, and he puts it in his iPad, and they do the square footage, and they divide, and they get a number. They don't go and look at every single room that's being used, they don't look for empty rooms, so it's really not, it's the same argument we had when Dale was saying that we could house kids in Blake.
Okay, so then my,
Can I finish? It was the same thing that we had before. We had members of the warrant committee walk around the entire Blake Middle School and couldn't find an open room. There were kids everywhere.
Okay.
So when you use that data, it needs to be, the context of being in there in a school day needs to be a part of that data, not just what MSBA put on there.
okay, so that it reinforces my point that our school committee should be getting data on what the average class size, what the class sizes is in every single class in the high school and in the middle school. So that when you make the argument that class sizes are going to increase if we use school choice, we actually need to see the numbers of every single one of those classes. DESI data also shows that as of FY25, our average class size across the district was 16.2 students.
How do they do that,
Which
Chris?
is,
How do they do that?
all I'm saying is, I'm
How
trying.
do they do it?
I don't know how they
I'll
do
tell
it.
you how they do it. They take the number of students and divide by the number of people that work here. So
Okay?
it's really not class size, it's adult to student ratio.
So again, there's data that's out there that anyone can access that our school committee should be getting before they actually analyze this decision,
Chris,
instead of taking a one-page memo and using that as the only thing that you're using. There are other districts who have analyzed this inside and out with multiple slide presentations, multiple data that's available. Newton has done an amazing job analyzing this.
How's that gone over?
They've ultimately voted down, but I talked to
2 years in a row.
I talked to school committee members there just a few weeks ago, and they said they're looking at it again. So all I'm saying, and I have a good friend that used to be a school committee chair in Holliston. You know, you need to talk to people who are actually using it.
And why did Holliston go into, I'm asking because I need to know why did Holliston go in it?
I don't
School
have,
choice.
Jeff,
Because they were losing so many students, they had to recoup the money.
so guess what? How much did we pay out in school choice in the last?
23,441 this year.
Since 2015, we lost $426,000 in school in state
Let's
aid.
put that in context. Right now, we're paying 23,441. You know what you pay for the MBTA this year? $334,000 MBTA. What do you get from the MBTA this year in Medfield? Anything?
That's a moot point. I'm saying
Why
we
is
have
that a moot
lost,
point? You should
we
be
have
upset about
lost,
the MBTA surcharge,
we
not
have
the
lost
$23,000.
$426,000 in state aid from not, and we have lost 72 students who have gone to other districts. Now, this is, for school,
72 students total, or how does that work?
72 students
Not the same
total.
student?
72 students total since 2014.
So it's probably the same student over and over again, some of them.
It doesn't,
matters.
but it still matches a dollar amount. It's still a dollar amount that comes out of our state aid, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're not
Comes off our
talking
cherry
about,
sheet to the town, not our state aid to school department.
we are not talking about admitting hundreds of students through school choice. I mean, I'll give you another example. So what's happening with the Mandarin program this year? Are we canceling, are we ending it at the
That's the
elementary level?
Sorry, what was the question?
What was the
Are
question?
we
please?
ending the elementary Mandarin program as a budget cut?
It's on the list, but we won't know anything until after June 8th.
Okay, so
Meeting
again, so
immediately after.
with the various ways that I've seen teachers move from different buildings to different classes, you know, you talk about people losing opportunities. In Holliston, I was told by administrators there that one of the big reasons that kids go to Holliston is because of the French immersion program. When they used to go there, that was a big reason why they went there. We could have students who would want to come to Medfield, and actually, Desi, it promotes this because the idea is not to be so insular and say, we're Medfield and we're not going to let anybody come into our town. The idea is to meet kids where they're at and support children in education. You know, the idea that back to the Mandarin, we could save that position by admitting a small number of students and promote the Mandarin program as something that's a highlight. We can't guarantee that the students are going to come in wanting that program, but it certainly would help our numbers. And at a time when we're looking at really tight fiscal constraints, the fact that we lost $426,000 over that period of time is ridiculous.
What's the period of time, Chris?
2015, FY 2015 to now.
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up just in case
Yep.
there's other people that want to speak.
And the last thing I want to say is I'm absolutely floored that this statement would be put in a memo that school choice would limit opportunities for students in athletics, music, and theater. Because I don't know many athletes, I don't know many musicians who wouldn't be extremely grateful to have people on their team or on their ensembles who can help them win awards and honors or simply fill gaps. What that statement says is that we don't want our students to be team players. They should only focus on themselves and their own individual achievements and not act as a team. So that statement in itself does not reflect our mission statement for Medfield and should never be stated again. And again, it is so unfair that it's awful that this hearing is happening after town meeting, because every citizen in this town needed to have an opportunity to look at the pros and cons of school choice, to ask these kinds of questions, to look at this data, to have this back and forth. It's too late now. We can't even look at what we could have potentially saved and teacher positions that we could have potentially saved now. It's too late. And it's awful. It's really unfair.
Chris, before you go, do you have the data on what Holliston loses every year in school choice? I'm just curious.
I don't, but this is
Take a look at it.
This is great data that we would be put forward as part of the pros and cons.
I mean, you're showing it as the gold standard. Just take a look at it.
I'm just saying it would be good data to put forth as pros and cons. Much more so than a one-page
Sure. That's your opinion. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I just make a clarification on the tuitions? The 151 tuitions are for the kindergarten program.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know where that number was coming from.
I had to find out myself. 'Cause
Thank you.
Hi, Heather Sullivan, 24 Tubrook Drive. I have 3 kiddos in the school system, twins in 5th and another in 7th grade. And one of my kiddos is severely dyslexic, and she loves the Medfield schools, and it's wonderful, and her teachers are great. But when you bring in so many other kiddos into a program, you don't know whether or not they're going to need all these reading services. And she's just reading. She's not even behavioral or anything like that. So when you start to bring in all these other kids with all these variables, they might need so much more services. And I know our special ed services need so much more. They need so much more. And if we are adding more to that, it's just going to really take away from the current students that we have. And also, just as a parent, knowing what's happening in the schools. My kid has never been in a classroom with 16 kids. It's always been 19, around that. At Dale Street, we have 19 computers plugged into one outlet. So, I don't understand why we would want to bring in more kids into a fire hazard outlet, into a school system. So, please vote no. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone online?
There are people, but no hands raised.
And just before I give you another chance, is there anyone else in the room that has anything they would like to say in regards to school choice?
I do have something to follow up on,
Sure.
But I don't know if I want to let
Yeah,
Chris.
you can follow up first.
Okay, so I did in a previous meeting say that I would do some investigation, additional investigation into school choice, and to share it with, with my fellow committee members. And in that, we do have a lot of power in those choices of school choice, right? Of that, how it's implemented, where it's implemented. It doesn't have to be all schools. So I want to take away some of the myths that go on that, so it doesn't have to be at elementary level. We do it in the district where I work. It's exactly 20 seats a year, and it's only at the high school that it's allowed. And that's mostly to help service our CTE programs when they come in, our career and tech ed programs. But we're in a very different position there. We also spend $500,000 off our cherry sheet sending students to other districts. So, and or private schools. We lose 11. We have 11 different schools that they end up at. And here it's a very different story in that sense. And space is a concern of mine. So I guess, for factual reasons, having the idea of exploring it in our district, I think, would add a layer of complication as we're looking to start charging for buses. We went the opposite direction on kindergarten. The $5,000-ish that it would be to value benefit us, that we would have to make sure it comes back to us, which is another concern of ours, is that the money would come in and actually end up back for the schools, which is not a worry of mine in my particular scenario. But here I have concerns with that as well. So, and in that, I would recommend not moving forward this year with school choice, as I don't know enough. I don't know about the others, but I did see approximately 43 emails come to me this past week, not in favor of adopting school choice. So, and so with that, I wanted to pass that on because as I promised our committee prior. Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to.
No, I just wanted to just reiterate what I had said earlier, that my comments were focused specifically on the high school and the middle school where the enrollment is so much lower. It looks like, based on the data, that we're maxed out in all the other, in the elementary schools. So I would not consider that. I also, I don't remember how long ago it was, maybe a couple years ago, there was a commitment actually at the suggestion of a school committee member to do exit surveys of students who are leaving the district. I don't know whether we're still doing that, but I think it would be interesting to find out why students actually take advantage of school choice and leave Medfield to go elsewhere. My understanding is that in other districts do have better special education programs. That's not a knock on us. I'm just saying that there are reasons that students leave to go in other districts. And so I think it's worth it to look at that as well as the reason why.
Thank you. Any other public comment or hands online?
Not that I can see. Let me do another check. Nope.
Okay, thank you to everyone who shared comments this evening. Seeking no further public comment, I'm going to formally close the school choice public hearing. The matter is now before the school committee for deliberation and a vote. Any comments or discussion from committee members?
I would like some clarification, Jeff, because I looked at the DESE website to see how many sending students we have to other, what was that number?
Well, Desi, looks like the webpage is down now. It says systems maintenance.
Okay,
I have the FY '26 dollar amount, which is 23,000 change.
okay. Because I had downloaded a spreadsheet, so it's still here, and it looked like it was like 6 kids for Medfield, but okay, so that it's not
So, and I believe that
the other number that
includes,
was mentioned.
and I believe that includes any virtual school.
It could include virtual, and that's actually more than
That-
5,000.
Yeah, and that does cost the district more. I believe that's closer to 8 or 9. So, so that's numbers.
Yeah.
Yep. So with its TECA or Greater Commonwealth, those those pull more money from us.
I do, I mean, just like speaking as someone who is in a school building, like, I just do think it's important to remember that, as you said, the way that they sort of calculate space, like, you know, it's not an office building where, you know, we have 30 desks, so we can have 30 employees. Like, it is much more complicated. You know, this is a special education classroom that has a lower percentage. Yes, it might have the same physical space, but it's just not, you cannot have the same amount of students. This class, like, it is just so much more complicated, that I just think it's hard to sort of, and I get, like, looking at that, you feel like, oh, there's all this space, but I do think that it is hard to sort of grasp that that does not mean that there's magically, like, an abundance of extra space when you actually look at how it plays out.
Right, I mean, the same space is used, just less kids are in. So when it was 3,000 kids in the district, there were, 27, 28 kids in the room. Now there's 18 or 19 kids in the room. Same space is being used.
Which is a value to the community that,
Absolutely.
like, to me, has been very,
Absolutely.
very clear.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And I'll say for FY '27, our school choice sending is 13,700.
Okay, that's what you're looking
Yeah.
at, the same thing that I was looking at, okay.
Yep. The Department of Revenue site is better too.
Gotcha.
So being new, I'd asked a question before. Is the school district growing, staying the same, losing numbers?
So we're definitely down than we have been in the last, 10 years or so. But we've stayed consistent over the last couple of years. And we do have larger classes coming up. So we have projected 230 or so for kindergarten for next year. We only have 187 signed up at this point. We have a regular number of, in the mid 170s or so for the following year, but then another 230 coming up after that. So we have a lot of younger kids coming up within the district, which would increase class sizes for sure.
And is it certain that once you have a child coming in for school choice, that that child stays in the district? You can't say goodbye if the numbers increase?
Correct. So they stay till high school graduation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it possible to choose to accept children in a certain grade levels but not others?
Right. You definitely choose that.
All right, thank you.
And you can set your own cap, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, so we do 9 through 12
Yeah.
at 20 in my
I mean, it
district.
would not be hard for us to get a amount of kids. It wouldn't be hard.
No, I
We
suspect
put it
not.
out
I imagine
there
we're a
and
very
they'd
attractive
come.
place for people, yeah.
They would come.
I think two things on my mind. One, just in regards to Jeff's memo, I think in speaking for myself, although I suspect this is true of the other school committee members, did a lot of research into this topic in order to be prepared and, be able to understand what the perspectives of the public would be. So I wanted to say that out loud. Certainly for me, this is not the only source of information on which I'm going to be basing my vote. I think, again, for myself and for the other members on the school committee, I think doing that prep and research in advance is part of this job. I am glad we're talking about this in a public hearing. I think that is really important. I think going forward, maybe I should just start by saying you guys will not hear from me that I support this at the current time, but I think we are entering a pretty uncertain future financially wise. I think this is something we should keep on the shelf to be able to pull down. I would like to talk about this, again next year, and maybe we should think about the timing in which we do that. I don't want to put away an available lever should the need come to, should the day come when we need to pull it. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to share.
No, I think many times in different districts that I've been in, we've discussed this seriously, and it's not something to be taken lightly. I agree that we've all probably done some research, and it's something that we take up every year. So this is not the last time we'll be discussing this. I think it will be important to see how things go for the rest of this year financially, and perhaps it will be clearer next year when we discuss this which way we should go. I mean, there's always a possibility of making a change, but I agree the discussion is important, and also in reading the different pieces from parents. Everyone has a little bit of information, but very few people have the whole information or have done the research that goes into it. So I think about this very seriously. But what I do today, I may not do next year, depending on what happens.
And I think it's important for the entire committee to know that in years past, and I know that the vice chair and the chair and I, we meet, probably every other week anyway. With the current chair and former chairs, I sat down and modeled what it would look like. Now, I know that doesn't satisfy everyone because it's not done in a public setting, but we've had those conversations. We've looked at what the revenue would be and what the impact would be, and we've had that. It's simple math. It's not rocket science to do it. It's how many seats you have available in a certain grade level. Put that number in there times 5,000, there's your revenue. So, I mean, we've done that and had those conversations. We just haven't really done that in a public setting before. There really hasn't been an appetite, except for,
And I think it is just like hard to think about, like, we know that obviously it costs more than $5,000 to educate a child, and like some of those, like, I get are absorbed by, is one student going to necessarily,
yeah.
right? Like, that's different. But then but even just thinking about your district, the CTE, like, you need those CTE seats to get the CTE money. So like, you need those programs to be filled, right? So that there is this added
Correct.
benefit, right? If your CTE seats aren't filled, you're not gonna get, and that's a lot of money.
So in CTE programs, it does get diluted through the cherry sheet, but there's an additional $5,800 per student from the state that are applied for CTE students. But again, the state cherry sheet does impact a lot of how districts receive that funding, except school choice is direct. One of the things also to take into consideration is we do adopt all the special ed costs in the school choice scenario. So if Medfield does receive them and there is services, the receiving district is responsible for those.
there's a kicker in there, though. They give you
Little.
some money in there, but
Yeah.
not a lot. They do give you some money.
I also just like things I was thinking about was, right? If just also thinking about kids' well-being, right? And like, what is it like for a student to come to a new community in a high school when there's only like 3 or 4 seats available? Like, if I'm even just thinking about that student that might come in, just like how does that work? I mean, I have when people, when it's mentioned, would I don't know the answer to this question. When it was mentioned, like, would a team want this player who might bring like some benefit? Like, so in Boston you're not allowed to like recruit, right? You can't get students from another school. Like, I don't know how that plays into high school sports, if you're allowed, if that is allowed, and if there are waivers and things like that. So I actually don't know some of that kind of stuff, which is something that was a good point that I hadn't thought about. So I don't even know if that can happen. But I do think that like having a handful of seats in a couple grades also does, like, that's also hard for a 14, 15-year-old, right? To kind of walk into a situation without, I'm not sure that it is also like the best environment for teenagers when I'm thinking about
Yeah,
it.
I would encourage you to look at the school choice data in the districts that participate in it and see how much they lose per year in school choice. And lots of times that's a reaction to open up for school choice because they're losing so much for school choice. And you look at some of the data out there and it's, there's districts losing millions of dollars, 1.5, 1.6, $2 million a year, some of the larger districts. And, the reaction is we have to recoup that money because we're losing it, and that tends to happen as well. So I just try to think about, what like communities are doing. And, we always want to compare ourselves to all these communities. And I think this is an option where, this is an instance we really should be comparing ourselves to all these communities. And, in a sense that, make the same choice that they make. And there's a reason why they make that choice. They're desirable communities and they have strong school districts. And they choose Mike Sullivan used to say to me all the time, God bless him, we barely can afford to, we barely afford to educate Medfield kids. Why are we taking anyone else's? And that was always his mantra whenever he and I talked about it in his office. So I think that's where I stand on it. Happy to do whatever you want. If you revisit this and you want to go full blast, I'll get a zillion kids in here. We'll make lots of money. So you figure it out. Well, if folks want to do, I'll do.
I feel
One thing that sorry.
I was looking to say the challenge with them make a lot of money, like, when you talk about the revenue aspect and you don't talk the expense aspect, how are you making sure that you have any sort of financial gain in that space, right? Like, this $5,000 number was established in 1991 when the program started and has not changed in 30-plus years, right? So the amount that they decided in 1991 is still the same amount of money that we talk about today, despite the fact that things like inflation and cost of education in general has gone up. So even if you took in a general ed kid who you could say maybe wouldn't need additional supports and services, it's still going to cost money to educate that child, right? So even if it was like around 5,000 or less than 5,000, it's not a huge gain, and it is going to potentially add a lot of additional strain to other parts of the education experience for Medfield kids. I appreciated the fact that we got, as Leo mentioned, close to 40 emails, every one of them encouraging us not to participate in the school choice program. The general theme around the emails was protecting student support, protecting class size, prioritizing access and opportunities for Medfield residents, and preserving the quality and character of the Medfield experience. And I guess personally, I didn't read Jeff's thing as not being a team player. I read it as children that play together in Medfield and want to continue to do activities together in Medfield. When you start bringing in extra kids, you're creating competition between the child that you're bringing in and the Medfield child, right? Like, someone's going to get the spot, and it might not be the Medfield child. So I think those are important points that were brought up as well from some of the emails that we received. And yeah, I guess I just think, like, the fact that the money hasn't changed since 1991 and that Medfield as a whole has been voting on school choice for many, many years and has consistently chosen not to participate in the program. And during that time, the district has also faced financial challenges, including overrides and budget pressures. And despite that, they've not looked at it as a substantial revenue stream. I think that that still stands today, so.
And I think that there would be some concerns if we're seeing some larger fluctuations too. The district I worked in saw a plummet of over 400 students in a 6-year period at their high school. So a high school that was built same size as this one, we housed 632 students. So there's also areas of the state that school choice were designed to also promote some regionalization to help share those resources and find those declining enrollments. And then there's just the overall fit, right, for student welfare, to move into a different community for whatever reason. The nuances that are involved with the selection process, we would definitely be oversubscribed no matter how many seats we opened up. I think that we would be putting ourselves into a situation where there could be some, accusations, competitiveness, and all the things that go along with that, that I would be concerned about. And then I think from a state perspective, the general impact that, the cherry sheet has on our budgets in general is a real issue. Not that this was about, but I think the fact that the program hasn't been revisited, and the closest they've come to revisiting it is to bail out the virtual schools, really, and increase their number, because they can't operate off of just that monies. So, all in all, I just don't know if it's the right time for us. However, I don't, to Mike's point, I don't want to take it off the table for future. We have to revisit it every year, and there's a reason why we have to revisit it every year. So, and I think that's the intention.
Does anyone have any additional comments, or are we good to move to a vote?
I was thinking that, we're talking about things that we know or speculate about. Many people in the community probably don't know all the ins and outs of going with school choice or not. I understand that there are very few communities locally that are involved, but would it help to do some research for the following year with communities that do use school choice, and what are some of the questions we would ask? And then if we present what we found, then we're talking about real districts who have gone through this, and we can present that to the community, and it might make making the decision more palatable for different opinions.
Something to think about. Anything else? I did close it, yeah. Anything else? All right.
Nope.
Do I hear a motion regarding participation in the Massachusetts Interdistrict School Choice Program for the 26-27 school year?
Vote that we choose not to participate in the school choice program for the 26-27 school year.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion carries.
You do a roll call for the,
Sure, roll call. Michelle Kirkby, yes?
Leo Brem, yes.
Sophia Viglis, yes.
Michael McCabe, yes.
Rosalie Weiss, yes.
Thank you, everybody. All right, moving on to our regularly scheduled business meeting. We will start with public input. All speakers are encouraged to present their remarks in a respectful manner. Committee members will not respond during public comment, and speakers should direct all remarks through the chair. If you have questions, oh, sorry, what?
I apologize. There was a Q&A question that came through. I think I could just answer. I'm just going to read it aloud so it's recorded for the record. Amanda Green on rhododendron. I'm new to all of this. Where can I get information on what school choice is? I have heard the phrase, but I don't even know what it means. Is it a public vote or a vote by only the school committee? And I'll respond to her who is listening that it's only a vote by school committee, and information can be found on our website in our packet and on the Department of Education website. And that's about it.
Great, thank you. So at this time, I'd like to open public input. Members of the public are welcome to comment during the public input either here or through Zoom. If you're on Zoom, please raise your Zoom hand. We ask that you keep your camera on when making a Zoom comment and that you follow school committee policy for public input, including speaking for no more than 3 minutes and only on topics under the purview of the school committee. And whether you're here in person or on Zoom, please state your name and address for the record. Anyone online here?
No hands up online.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to the consent agenda. So from the consent agenda, I'm going to, we approved the amended regular meeting minutes and executive session, so that will not be in the consent agenda. And I am going to take out, approve and retain the April 16th, 2026 executive session meeting minutes, and we'll vote on those separately because I wasn't at that meeting. So from a consent agenda standpoint, we have approve March 26th, 2026, April 9th, 2026, April 27th, 2026, and May 4th, 2026 regular meeting minutes, Medfield High School Student Awards for graduates, 2 NHS Pillar Scholarships for $1,000 each, $500 to the student and $500 to the student's charity of choice from the MHS Student Activity Account, 2 Andrea Thrasher Awards for $500 each from the CPAC account, 2 CPAC Scholarship Awards of $500 each from the CPAC account, 2 MHS Scholar Athlete Scholarships for $500 each for the Athletic Awards account. Donations in the amount of $5,000 from the Medfield Lions to be deposited into the Blake Middle School Scholarship Fund. These funds will be used to provide scholarships for the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. These funds were raised through Medfield Lions golf ball drop event. $1,280 from the Blake PTO to be deposited into the Blake gift account for buses for the Creature Feature field trip. Does anybody have any questions or comments on anything in the consent agenda?
Just want to thank the Lions Club publicly again for providing scholarships to the Washington, D.C. trip.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm really happy that they do that. And just to tip of the hat to Principal Vaughn for continuing to solicit that and support that for those scholarships.
Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion carries. And then to approve and retain April 16th, 2026 executive session meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to abstain.
Leo Brem, yes.
Sophia Viglis, yes.
Michael McCabe, yes.
Rosalie Weiss, yes.
Great. All right, moving on to new business. We have an annual town meeting update. Dr. Marsden?
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to thank the residents for coming out for our annual town meeting. I know that was a Colleen Sullivan told me it was a record for annual town meeting in Medfield with 1,388 members. That's great. In support of our override and also supporting many other items related to our schools. The bookworms for out of free cash was outstanding. We're really happy with that. And then also the other items that the warrant committee had put on with the additional money for the stabilization fund for the elementary school, which I think is a really good idea for taxpayers. But everyone I thought it was a great meeting and just really appreciate it. I mean, in terms of what we're doing internally, we spent a lot of time the last few days going through and trying to see, planning for the 1.8 if that happens, and then looking at the bumping rights if we went through that. So we kind of did the degrees of separation going through that. So we've identified, we still have 22 teachers that are at risk at the 1.8 because of bumping rights. We're not laying off 22 people. We're at 22 people at risk because if programs are cut, other folks have a licensure that would bump out a less senior person. And we're happy that we're going to start next week rehiring 16 people who were originally got the reduction in force notice because we've determined that based on any and all reductions that we will bring to you in June, if the 1.8 does take place, they would be safe and they wouldn't be bumped out. So we're going to be hiring people back next week, and there's still, like I said, 22 out there that have potential of being bumped if the 1.8 happens and the override fails on the 8th. So that's kind of what we've been working on internally, going through that. Michael and I did it, and the leadership team, we all got together and did it together so that we feel pretty confident what we've been doing in terms of the reductions and the bumping and all that. So that's been our last couple of weeks since annual town meeting. But again, can't thank the community enough for coming out and supporting our budget and the override.
And there's still a vote on June 8th. It's not done yet.
Correct.
So we
That's
need
right.
people to
Not
still come
done
out
yet.
on
Part
June
one.
8th. That was part one. We're not
Be
there
shorter
yet.
this time.
Yes, all you have to do is just drive there and go in and out. No
Right.
4
That's
hours.
right.
Right.
Anything else on town meeting? All right. I am excited. This is one of my favorite things that we do every year when we get to bring in.
I have to tip. I'm sorry. You got to thank Mike Pastore for the comic relief. I mean,
There. That bat phone was great.
That's right.
Yes. I love when we get to hear the end of the year updates from all of our organizations. So first up, I have Janie and the high school PTO. Or do you not want to go first?
Good evening. And thank you for the opportunity to share a few highlights from the Medfield High School PTO. My name is Janie Boylan, and I'm proud to serve as a co-chair of the Medfield High School PTO alongside Karen Vasquez. This year was relatively quiet in grant requests. We supported 5 initiatives designed to enrich student experience and strengthen school culture. We helped sponsor a portion of the Let's Talk About Microaggressions, a training program launching this fall. Its initiative will prepare a cohort of student leaders through an intensive train-the-trainer model, allowing students themselves to help foster a more thoughtful and inclusive school environment. We're grateful to MCPE, who provided the majority of the funding for this important work. We also funded a presentation by former professional basketball player and motivational speaker Chris Heron, whose message about the realities and dangers of substance abuse hopefully sparked meaningful conversations among students and reinforced the importance of health, decision-making, and support systems within our school community. We also continued investing in literacy and student learning through the Library Media Centre. The PTO funded 33 new books, each specifically requested by teachers, departments, and/or students. In addition, we expanded support for world language learning by funding 2 copies of 25 different Spanish novels, giving students greater opportunities to strengthen literacy and language fluency in meaningful ways. And because learning also happens beyond the classroom walls, we funded transportation for 45 DECA students attending the State Career Development Conference this spring, an experience that gives students invaluable exposure to leadership, business, and competition at a statewide level. Of course, supporting a school community also means supporting the people at the centre of it, our educators. This year, the PTO hosted 2 teacher appreciation luncheons, a homemade soup and salad lunch in January, and a Chipotle lunch earlier this month. And during Teacher Appreciation Week, we stocked the faculty room with snacks, coffee, and small gestures of gratitude to recognise the extraordinary work our teachers and staff do every day. As we head into graduation season, we're also excited to celebrate students through several PTO-sponsored awards. At Senior Recognition Night, we will award 4 scholarships, a Community Service Award, an Excellence Award, and 2 School Spirit Awards, recognising students who bring positivity, energy, and connection to the Medfield High School community. We are also proud to support the Teacher Inspirational Award, a student-nominated recognition honouring a staff member who has made a lasting impact through encouragement, mentorship, and inspiration. Like many volunteer organisations, we continue to navigate the challenge of parent engagement at high school level. This year, rather than simply asking families to attend PTO meetings, we tried to create conversations that felt useful and relevant by hosting department-based question and answers sessions with department heads across multiple academic areas. While parent participation was still non-existent, the math department session generated thoughtful discussion and valuable feedback from families. Those conversations highlighted areas of concern and curiosity, and we are hopeful that the dialogue has helped inform positive progress moving forward. And finally, a quick update from the All-Night Grad Party Committee. A tremendous amount of work is happening behind the scenes to prepare for this year's event on May 30th. The goal remains simple but important: to give every graduating senior a safe, fun, and inclusive celebration, regardless of their financial circumstances. PTO committee member Maureen Dodge ran our biggest fundraiser for the All-Night Grad, the fashion show. While senior participation dropped considerably this year, it was still a joyous, fun event allowing seniors and their supporters to celebrate each other. The All-Night Grad is only possible because of volunteers, donations, and the generosity of this community, and we are deeply grateful for that support. Please continue to sign up and donate. People see me around town and avoid me as they associate me with asking for money or volunteer. Well, at least that's what I tell myself. To the class of 26, congratulations. We wish you happiness, purpose, and success in whatever comes next. And to the administrators, faculty, families, and community members who continue to support our students alongside us, thank you. Please come to PTO meetings in the future. Many thanks for your time. Any questions?
Where do they go to sign up? And we can plug it for all of our viewers.
I'll send you the link.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janie.
Thanks, Jenny.
Are you doing?
I'll do KDA.
I'm going to do MCP
Yeah,
first.
that's
In case
fine.
you have to stay.
Yeah.
MCP, if you guys want to go next.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here at the school committee meeting this evening to talk about the school year for MCPE. So for those who don't know me, I'm Amy Cass. I have a high schooler and a middle schooler here in the district. And this year was the one of the 2 co-presidents of our organization. And very happy to be joined up here tonight by my colleague Amanda Macbeth, who was both our vice president and our grants chair and is one of the incoming co-presidents for the 26-27 school year. I'd like to just take a moment first to thank you all for having us here and giving us this opportunity to kind of look back at MCPE's work and contributions to the school this past year, as well as to thank Dr. Marsden, who attends our board meetings, provides year-round support. We greatly appreciate that support throughout the year, as well as to just thank each of the school principals who work so closely with us to identify kind of the needs that they have to help put forward the grants that ultimately is what we're here to provide back into the community, and then implement those grants so that the funds that we raise can come back and really contribute positively to the schools.
So to introduce MCPE, and I'm Amanda Macbeth. I have a 4th grader and a 1st grader. So for those who may be less familiar, the Medfield Coalition for Public Education is an independent nonprofit that has been enriching Medfield's public schools since 1987. Governed entirely by volunteer Medfield residents, MCPE raises funds through community events and channels them directly back into the schools through competitive grants open to all district personnel. This year, our board was led by Amy Cass and Ali Spitaleri, our co-presidents, Amanda Macbeth, that's me, vice president and incoming co-president for next year, was also our grants chair, Matthias Wajkowski, who is our publicity and communications chair, Kate Heffernan, events and fundraising chair, Kelly Kane, our treasurer, and Amy will now review how you all in the community helped us to make a very successful year.
All right. So community support is really foundational to our mission, and enthusiastic participation in the fundraising events that we held this year collectively raised more than $58,000. So we're very excited about that. Fundraising kicked off at the beginning of this school year with a fun and well-attended Fall Fest, which is really one of our sort of main fundraising activities that we do in the year. That brought in over $20,000 in net proceeds. We sold 332 tickets. It was a great evening at the German American Club in Walpole in October, and we sold over 200 of those tickets at our booth at Medfield Day in September alone. So a really big kind of a community moment, getting people together to have a good time and also help raise funds for the school. At the event, we held a silent auction. Attendees and the community at large, even if they weren't attending, were able to bid on over 30 donated auction lots. And the auction brought in over $5,000 out of the total net proceeds for the event. We would especially like to thank our corporate sponsors for Fall Fest, which were Perez Martial Arts, Life's a Pooch, Park Street Books, and Bubbling Brook Nursery. Support continued throughout the year we hosted 2 swag stores so people could buy Medfield-themed merchandise, one for December around the holidays and one in the spring. We also trialed a new event together with PEX here in town, themed on a wellness night. Together, those raised $2,000 and $850 respectively. One of our other sort of long-standing events and very popular in the community is MCPE's Trivia Night. So we held that in the winter. So in January, we relocated that closer to home. So we came and hosted that again in Medfield. A good crowd showed up for that at 7th Wave, which was very fun, competitive event, and raised $4,650 in net profits, which was actually a 35% increase in the proceeds. So we think people liked having it back here in town, which was awesome. And then really one of our most beloved events is the elementary spelling bee for our 2nd through 5th grade. We held that in March. That's always been a super popular event, but we set a record for the total number of students who participated. So we had 419 absolutely adorable kids participating in the bee in their costumes. Tremendous participation, as well as a lot of support from the elementary teachers. We absolutely could not run that event with 419 kids without their help. So we had many teacher volunteers and really a special call out for our moderators. So Jim Kuehl from the 3rd grade teaching staff helps us moderate, as well as Jim James from Park Street Books, and really make the event very fun. And it also helps us raise money. So shout out to our corporate sponsor for the spelling bee, Medfield Orthodontics. They've supported that event for many years. And in total, we raised just over $10,000 in net proceeds from the bee. The school year just wrapped up actually with our Blue Ribbon campaign, which we time around Teacher Appreciation Week. So members of the community, parents, and their kids can nominate educators and school staff that have really made a difference for them throughout the year, and then also make a small donation to MCPE. This year, very happy to have had 97 individual educators and school staff members be recognized, which also raised $2,795. That's not me. MCPE just would like to really thank the community for supporting all of these events and creating kind of this really unified support for the school district. And then kind of our final activity of the school year is happening this coming Tuesday. We'll have our annual meeting Tuesday, May 19th at 7 p.m. at the Zulo Gallery. It is open to the public, but we'll really celebrate all of the achievements of MCPE and our excitement about the grants that we funded. We also invite all of the Blue Ribbon recipients to come and be recognized there. And at the event, we also honor some of our grant recipients and other educators with 2 awards that are announced at the event. And next, we'll recap the grants, which is obviously what all of the fundraising helps us support, with Amanda providing that update.
So this year, MCPE awarded over $69,000 for 15 grants toward innovative and enriching programming across all 5 Medfield public schools. Many of these initiatives are already underway and are providing students and staff with engaging experiences, hands-on learning opportunities, valuable materials, social emotional supports, and professional development opportunities. These grants enhance student learning by focusing on literacy, STEM, technology, health and wellness, and more, opening up the potential for all students to learn and thrive. MCPE was able to support innovative new initiatives that are expanding learning opportunities, like an outdoor classroom space at Wheelock, unique tactile number learning blocks at Memorial, closed-loop communication devices at Blake Library to share student-made book recommendations and communicate school-wide activities, and updated library listening centers for our Memorial, Wheelock, and Dale readers. We supported enriching presentations that spurred important conversations, like the Understanding Our Differences program at Dale Street, which brought vital disability awareness and fostered wonderful conversations and astute questions, leaving all with a deeper understanding of the diverse experiences of their peers. Blake Middle School students also enjoyed a lively visit and Q&A with the renowned author. And sixth graders experienced a virtual author study series, delivering them exposure to real-world literacy experiences. Our school staff have now had greater access to expanded professional development opportunities across all schools, engaging in important topics like inclusive school cultures and supporting student behavior. This is only a part of what MCPE had the honor of supporting this year, and we encourage you to learn more about all of our grants and everything else we do on our website, which is medfieldcoalition.org. And to wrap up, we just wanted to take a moment to thank our educators, school administrators, and district personnel for providing thoughtful, unique, and impactful grant proposals. None of this would have been possible without their dedication to enriching our school community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Sophia? She wears many hats.
Let's see this.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sophia Viglas. So unfortunately, the Medfield K-8 PTO staff members were not able to come, so I was given some highlights from the different schools. So I'm going to share them with with all of you today. So there's a PTO at every single school, and there's a K-8 overarching organization for the PTO. And so overall, for the K-8 schools, PTO gave back about $75,000 in terms of activities or funding different things at the schools. Memorial, the sort of rough breakdown is everyone's still doing their budgets and things are still happening. Memorial gave about $25,000, Wheelock gave $16,500, Dale was $24,000, and Blake was $17,400. So just to share some highlights for things that happened at the different schools. So the Memorial PTO has been funding the preschool music program that is housed at both Memorial and at Wheelock. They funded all the field trips that happened at Memorial School, and Everyone Belongs initiative at Memorial. So this was a teacher or a group of teacher staff grant that was, there's a song that I don't remember it, but there's a song that they sang at Memorial that they really sort of wanted to expand into a mural and different posters and I believe staff T-shirts and things throughout the building to sort of have it be a little bit more pervasive in the building. And so that was one of the grants that they funded. They also had a Hero Day assembly and an author visit, and they also funded some Heidi Songs learning material. So I asked what that was. If you remember the poem books that used to come back when students were at Memorial, the teachers were looking into there's a program that was like creating songs that sort of had to do with the learning to enhance the learning that they were really interested in. And so they wanted to try that out and wrote to the PTO for a grant to do that. So that was another thing funded by the Memorial PTO. At Wheelock, Wheelock provided transportation for all the field trips. The organization of the parent volunteers, which we appreciate, it's about 60 volunteers per day for 3 days to help make Rocky Woods happen. An author visit, it was Maddie Frost, the same author that was at Memorial. The Irish step dancers that came and performed at Wheelock. Something that was new this year was a Lunar New Year celebration. That was for all students. That was funded, the craft activities and things were funded by the PTO. They also provided an ice cream social that's more of a fundraiser than a fundraiser. And they're planning the 3rd grade Glow Party, which will be on June 12th. And the PTO is also organizing the Community Day volunteers. So also, if you haven't gotten that sign up or you haven't looked at that sign up genius, you still can. There's plenty of spots available to sign up for Community Day. That's, again, probably like 60 volunteers. We're currently working with the principal and are meeting with him tomorrow to talk about some end of year grants and things like that to maybe look at some inclusive playground equipment or other things that we can do to provide at Wheelock. Another thing that happened this year, both at Wheelock and Memorial, was during Teacher Appreciation Week, we were talking about what are some other things that don't cost money. And time is the sort of thing that everyone would love and is hard to give to anyone. So what both schools decided to do was ask the staff if they could sign up to have their duty covered during Teacher Appreciation Week. And we were offering the gift of time, and we would find a volunteer to cover their duty. And so I'm very happy because I had one left as of today. And so that I found the person to cover that duty. She'll get it a couple weeks late. But everyone that requested to sort of have their duty covered during Teacher Appreciation Week, we were able to do that, which was really nice. And we also, I can say at Wheelock, got a lot of just nice feedback from teachers just being like, that was really thoughtful. Like, thank you for that. Even it was 20 minutes, but it was just nice to not have to rush or get to do, something else that was as opposed to that recess duty or something like that. At Dale, they supported the field trips for buses to the Duck Tour and the Historical Society and an author visit. So they had an author, Rob Bouillet, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but he came last year and then they really enjoyed him and they wanted him to come back. And so they worked with him to figure out what can he do with the 5th graders, so that's a little bit different. And so the PTO purchased books for the 5th grade teachers, and the teachers did a reading for the 5th grade, and then he came and did like a writing workshop, like how do you develop characters or how do you sort of generate ideas, since they had already had like the presentation when they were in 4th grade. So they were able to get creative and have him come back because they really enjoyed him. The 4th grade did an engineering wonder. It was like a science musician that came, so the PTO funded them coming, and that had great feedback. It's the 2nd year that they've done it, and I think they'd like to do it again. They get really good feedback for that. And then the 5th grade had the Acton Discovery Museum come. They came last year as well, and they liked it, but they sort of wanted to get it more hands-on. And so they worked with Acton Discovery Museum to sort of up the level of whatever they were providing. And so they came and had hands-on workshops in the 5th grade. And the news actually came to do a segment on it. And one of the classes, or a couple of the classes, some of the kids were on the news, about the Acton Discovery traveling science workshops, it was called. And so they actually did refund one day of that to the news station. I don't remember which news station, so we got some money back for that, which was nice. They also will be having a cone ice cream truck, which I don't know if the kids know of that. So if any of the kids are watching, maybe now that they know that they're going to get that, but that's okay. So for Blake.
Yes, there's many on here. Yeah.
There's many children online, I'm sure. So for Blake, PTO, they were able to get pretty creative in terms of, they've noticed, it decreases in the middle school sometimes, the involvement. They did a little bit more shopping around to get a little bit more for their money, and were able to find some new vendors and local vendors for some of their teacher lunches. So they were really happy that they kind of thought through that and worked through that. They also moved to like Amazon wish lists that they were just sending out to parents. And so that they were stocking the teacher's room with different things through the Amazon wish list. They had a very successful dues drive in the fall, and also a spirit wear shop. And they were also really happy they were able to offer it to the staff just at cost, not making a profit. And I think the staff really appreciated that as well, from what I heard. they supported a variety of grants for students. They were able to approve all grants that were requested for different clubs at Blake, or presenters, or field trip buses, some inclusive recess supplies, an art show. I'm guessing ice cream after the art show. Some dance supplies, cinch bags for the DC trip. They'll be having the 8th grade cookout and different end of the year treats. They also have been supporting the staff with back to school and PD and conference day snacks or lunches, teacher appreciation week events, DC chaperone survival kits, and again, stocking the teacher's room with supplies from those Amazon wish list donations and ongoing refreshments. All of the schools did provide back to school and will provide end of school lunches to the teachers, and had things during Teacher Appreciation Week. The PTO would like to thank the school committee, parents and guardians, and the principals for really working with us. The principals, we really appreciate how open they are to our ideas. Can we try this? What about this? And we love the collaborative relationship that we have with the principals, and hope that, that they continue to come to us with, we'd like to try this idea, or how can we figure this out? We have some great parents that are like working with principals for, we're interested in this enrichment, or how can we find this? And we have some awesome parents that are just like willing to kind of do some of the research and come back to schools and give some different ideas and see if we have the money to fund it. So we're really, really appreciative of the collaboration that exists with at the school level, with every principal, and then at your level as well with anything that we need. We have some upcoming big events with the Rainbow Run that we're in the process of planning. If anyone, wants to, feel free to send me your information. We'd love any help with that. This year we raised about $101,000, which is lower than in the past. So we're hoping to do some planning to think about how we can boost that a little bit more. And just looking forward to 2026, 2027 and planning some more fun events.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Sophia.
much.
Any questions?
I'm curious what's in a survival pack for the DC trip, but I'll save it.
You get a chaperone that trip, Leo, to find out.
All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Not enough.
Congratulations on successful years, and thank you for all the work that you guys do for the schools. It's
amazing.
very much appreciated.
Amazing.
So,
Thank you.
okay, we're moving on to the overnight field trips. Dr. Marston?
Yes, so we have, asking your approval for 3 separate trips. I think Jason is here. Jason, would you like to do the music trip first?
I just want to say before I start that there is no more hotly debated topic at the high school than what's better, soup day or Chipotle day. It's like our favorite thing, so thank you. It's too contentious. So I'm seeking approval to bring students from the music department down to Universal Studios in Florida in late winter of next year. We had done a similar trip to Disney of this 2 years ago. One of the really unique features of it, well, there's 2 unique features. One being that you get to be a performer at the park, and you're like considered Universal Studios performer. They treat you professionally. It's incredibly real world for the kids. And then the second one that can only happen at these places is you go into a recording studio with Universal Studios professionals, and you create the soundtrack for a portion of a Pixar movie as a musician. We did this in Disney. It was the best trip I had ever done with the kids in my whole entire career as a high school teacher. And so we wanted to see what the Universal side of it looked like. It has all of the same rave reviews. And so it was just tremendously educational. It can seem like going down to Florida would be primarily about the parks, and it's certainly a fun thing for the kids, and they'll never forget the trip. But I was actually sad as I was sitting in the workshops that all the kids I had taught in my career up to this point, I wasn't able to experience that with them. So it was just so tremendous. In terms of fundraising, this will be, I think, the 5th trip that we have taken as a music department in some way since COVID. And in all of those trips, through the MMA and through parent donations and through fundraising, we've been able to offer as much financial assistance that anyone has asked for. So whatever they've asked for, we've given it to them to allow any student to go who would like to go. It certainly speaks to the tremendous resources of Medfield, but also the generosity of Medfield residents. We already have, I mean, we're so early in the process, I already have almost $4,000 in financial aid donations from parents who simply want to give more. And that's before we talk about fundraising in any way, shape, or form. So it's really, really fantastic. We're so fortunate to have those resources at our disposal here.
How many students are you thinking of taking?
So actually, our interest meeting is happening right now in the auditorium. Last time, we brought 130 students and 10 adults as chaperones. And so next year, there are 160 students enrolled in band, chorus, and orchestra at the high school. So we're just going to, we can never have all of the students go. The students, some of them, they don't want to travel or they have other conflicts. So we expect well over 100. It's quite an undertaking when we go, especially in the airport.
Did that feel like manageable in that 100 students were able to sort of fully experience everything, I guess?
Yes, because each ensemble has its own performance and its own workshop experience. So the kids are on certain days, there's a bus that brings the kids to do their performance, and then another bus to bring their performance. And so it's all 130 students were not performing simultaneously. The company that we used was the best company I had ever dealt with in my career for organization and resources and customer service. So they made it seem like it was, there's certainly an amount of stress to taking that many kids somewhere, but the company and the chaperones, it just made it so easy. I would say we also have already in place is at the high school level, it isn't a foregone conclusion that we would bring a nurse on an overnight trip unless we have a student that needs that. But we've already budgeted for that to happen, so that's in place.
Any other questions?
No, it looks amazing.
That's great.
I want to hear the Pixar thing.
Well, they unfortunately, because all that stuff is so copyrighted,
Yeah, you can't even.
we made this beautiful video at Disney, and I had to sign my life away when I left that place that I would show it to nobody in a public forum, because if it was recorded and put
Yeah.
online, I would get sued.
yeah, we don't want that.
The
That's
kids
okay.
see it, and it's a shame, but that stuff is it's a shame that the kids see it, but I can't show it to the community, unfortunately. So.
We're voting on these individually?
Yes.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the music department trip to Orlando, Florida from February 4th, 2027 through February 7th through 2027?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate it,
Jason.
thank you. Our next trip is a trip to France in April 17th to April 28th, 2027. Monique?
Bonsoir. I want to go on Jason's trip. I'm here to request a 12-day trip to France. Bonjour, Hilary. Didn't see you there. And just to give you a little background, this has gone every other year, except for during COVID. I've chaperoned 7 of them. My colleague Nikki has done the last few, and I'm back to take it over. We land in Paris and go straight to Saint-Malo on the coast in Normandy, spend the night there. You have the itinerary in front of you, but something I haven't done yet is gone to the D-Day beaches, and they'll be able to do that. What I like about this itinerary is that they get their feet on the ground and start speaking a little French before they go for a 4.5-day family stay, which is, I think, the heart of this trip. So they're in families near Paris, and so they'll do all the sightseeing of Paris with the family in that case. And then we meet up again for a few activities before we come back to Medfield, Massachusetts. I've had a couple meetings to gauge some interest, and I think we'll get between 16 to 19 students. which puts us in the mid-range about, it's just under $4,500 for the trip, all told. And just having done it a few times, 7 times, it's a great culmination of everything they've learned since 6th grade for these kids.
You said that you've done this every other year. It's a similar-ish itinerary, except that you said the D-Day beaches are new, but my question is, do you partner with the same, like, school district or area so that you have any sort of repetition in the families? Or are you partnering with, like, a new school district in regards to where the students are staying?
It's not the same school district, but it's the same company. We've used this one since the beginning, save for 1 year, which was not my best decision. But the man who runs this has retired and his daughter has taken over. And what I love about them is they're France only, so they specify with those French families, and they do have a network.
And then do we do anything with French families coming here and hosting them? Is there any sort of exchange?
The last couple of years we have, but it's been separate from this.
Okay. So you wouldn't go stay with a family and then have that child come stay with you? No, okay.
Though it has happened organically,
Yeah,
students have
right.
had, their
Relationship,
French
yes.
brother or sister has come here.
Yep. Right, very cool.
They're required to speak French the whole time?
They are strongly encouraged. And they're in the family stay alone to cut down on any English speaking with a Medfield student, so.
That's great.
Lots of times the French brother or sister speaks a little English, but oftentimes the parents don't. So they really have to figure it out.
Yeah, it's unfortunate in some ways when you go over to Europe. Many people speak English. When people come here, we speak one language, and start language so late that it's hard to be fluent.
I'm with you, Rosalie. I will say they also go to school, which is quite an experience for them to see what that's like. They don't have to do physics and French, but English class, they make them perform.
Great experience. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I think that was a good question of if students who are not taking French go and to get immersed, and jumpstart their French speaking. So I was just curious. That was a good question. So.
It's for French students only, and it's sort of like a carrot at the end. It does drive some students to stay in the program in order to go on the French trip.
Gotcha.
Do you have to be a senior or an upperclassman?
We're taking juniors and seniors.
How many do you take again? How many students?
This year, or this upcoming year, it looks like under 20, 16 to 18 students who are interested. We have asked sophomores at times when we didn't have enough people, but I do feel like it takes a certain maturity to do the 4.5-day family stay, so I prefer junior seniors.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the world language trip to France, April 17th, 2027 to April 28th, 2027?
So moved.
Second. Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Leo?
Aye.
Good. Okay, awesome.
Thank you. And our last trip is around that same time frame next year to Costa Rica. Paula Hamilton's here. Hey, Paula.
Hello, and I would like to echo Jason's comments that I love my job at Medfield High School, but Soup Day and Chipotle Day make me love it just a little bit more every year. Yes, Soup Day. And for me, Soup Day wins, I would say. So I'm here to request permission to take students to Costa Rica on April vacation next year. I was the head chaperone last year. We went with, like Monique, we go every other year on the international trip. And this would be our 3rd time doing the Costa Rica trip. I did not go 4 years ago. And we've kind of replaced it since COVID. We've replaced the Spain trip with this. We did used to go to Spain, and we found that it's kind of the focus of it kind of fell apart. We just didn't have a good company that gave us what we needed with the homestay. A lot of people that we were, doesn't matter, we're not going to Spain, doesn't matter where we're not going, we're going to Costa Rica, and it is awesome. The highlight of it is a homestay for the kids. This time they will stay with families from Sunday through Thursday. They spend 5 nights with a family. We land in Costa Rica, San Jose, I mean, and then we just spend an overnight there, but then we drive to the homestay, which is in the middle of Costa Rica in the mountains in Monteverde, and no one speaks English there. It's not a touristy place. It's kind of like a hiking hub. There are tourists there, but it is not a place like an international city in Europe where you will find that everyone's speaking English. They don't. The families don't speak English. It's a great opportunity for the kids to hang out and sit around after dinner and play Uno and talk to people. It's great. They do stay with another Medfield kid. They're not alone in the home. And every day we pick them up in the bus, and we go on excursions every day. So they're with me and the other chaperones and each other every day. And then we drop them back at their homes late afternoonish, and then they spend the rest of the late afternoon and evening with their families. So they have breakfast and dinner with their families, and they truly they hang out after dinner, they talk, the families have their friends come over, and they just do regular homey stuff. And that's the magic of the trip. It's really, and they say goodbye, and they're hugging, and they're crying, and it's awesome. And so each of the days we go horseback riding. It's just great. We horseback ride, we go to a farm, we go to a coffee plantation. They take a night walk in the rainforest, looking for bugs and stuff like that, with guides. We go to a mariposario, a place with butterflies. We do all the Costa Rica things, like zip line. Zip lining was invented in Costa Rica. So we zip line. Great activities. And so the kids themselves grow a lot as travelers, as people bonding with each other, Medfield kids that maybe they don't really hang out with, but then we have this really nice cohesive group by the end of the week. But the secret sauce is the homestay, is the focus of the trip. So I can't wait to go again. It was awesome. We took 40 kids last time. I actually had an informational meeting last night, and people are excited to go. It will probably cost $3,600, depends on the amount of kids. I think we'll max out, and it will be that amount. It could be a little bit less. There's a lot of enthusiasm right now around the trip, with good reason. It's fantastic.
Do you focus on juniors and seniors as well?
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's kind of, and in fact, a rising senior asked me at the meeting last night, do seniors get priority? Because he's worried he's going to get cut out. But it's the only, we only go every other year, so it's the only opportunity for juniors and seniors, so they're in the same pool of kids. So yeah, they get to go. Yep. Anything else?
No, I just wanted to say, I went on this trip when I was in Spain in the late 90s, and it was one of the most meaningful and formative experiences of my life. And 30 years later, there are people in Spain and other people I went on that trip with who I still keep in touch with, and I will just be very, very pleased to vote aye.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome to hear. It is a special thing. And what I said last night, too, is part of it, you can study abroad when you're in college, but oftentimes you live in a dorm, you live with just a bunch of people, which is also a great experience, but I feel like this is like a really nice intro into travel in a safe way, because you see a Medfield kid next to you, but you're also dropped into a family. So it's like a nice combination of safety and, I mean, it's all safe, that's not what I mean, but a combination of a safe and kind of a cozy environment in a new place.
But it allows students at a young age to see another part of the world and to understand another culture.
Absolutely, yeah.
And to be more accepting, so that when they become adults and
Ears
they
open.
can think differently about not just this place,
Absolutely.
but others as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the world language trip to Costa Rica, April 17th, 2027 to April 26th, 2027?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Paul.
much.
Oh, no, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay.
So I will say that, Robert and I, we love these experiences, and we think it's really important for our kids to go. We struggle a little bit with the fact that it's really expensive. And, we're trying to figure out ways that we can either fundraise or provide scholarships for the world language trips, because they are so popular, and not everyone gets an opportunity to do that. So that's kind of the reality that we talk about, and how we can do that. I know that music does a great job with that fundraising piece because they have that group of folks that do that. But some of the educational tours, it's difficult for people to afford. So just want to acknowledge that it's a great experience, but not every kid gets to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, next up, we have the policy subcommittee with a potential vote. So basically, we're looking to add another member. I'm interested in being on it if no one else is. Jumping up to join Leo.
For the new folks, what, could you talk to us a little bit about the scope of responsibilities? For
Oh, it's very exciting, policy
I-
subcommittee. Let me tell you
ask
about
whether
it.
It was exciting. I took that for granted.
Yeah.
So basically, previously, the policy subcommittee went through all of our policies, updated them all and got them online. The scope of that work is done right now. So pretty much what happens is if we have a policy that needs to be reviewed, the policy subcommittee will meet to review the policy. And that's kind of the scope of work right now. So I would say it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And now we're in a smaller work phase, but a lot of work will probably come back at some point when we need to review it again.
It's upkeep in just running us. I'm currently the person, so if there's a question or aside from what you're going to see tonight, which is more triggered by changes in the laws, that trigger these, and we are a member of MASC, which has a service that helps to do that and keep us on track with those changes, and provides the policies that you see and that the community sees to get access to us through their system. So, and then if there's something that comes up that would require a policy change or addition or whatnot, we would do those revisions and kind of the homework if there is any to be done.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else want to be on it besides me and Leo? Someone needs to nominate me to be on it.
I nominate.
Michelle Kirkby to be a member of the policy subcommittee.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thanks. All right, Medfield policy revision.
Speaking of policy. So Mary is here to talk a little bit about policy JKAA, and I think in your materials you had the old one and then the new one that we're sharing informationally tonight, which is the new regulations around timeout, seclusion, physical restraint of students. I think those of you that get the MASC email, we just got notified, you folks just got notified on May 4th about this policy change. And I know that DESE is requiring us to have this all in place by August 17th, I believe. Mary, is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, yes, they don't have your TV.
Trying to share it up here as well as on Zoom. Password popping up, Owen.
Do they have rain delays in that sport?
It has no password here.
It was thundering earlier when I
Was it?
left.
It says enter the AirPlay password for MHS LMC, but there's no code coming up on it.
And I guess that makes sense, running
Yeah.
around with sticks.
Right.
I can try it again.
Lightning rods.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to step in here after, all these exciting updates and then,
Not gonna tell us about
wonderful
it.
trips
Policy.
about places to go. But I'll try to jazz mine up a little.
We're holding you to that.
You can. No song or dance, I promise.
I was just gonna say you could add music to your
I
presentation.
could.
Put your walk-up music up.
Oh, there you go, her walk-up
No.
music.
It's still not. It's on Zoom and I don't know.
Just go with it on Zoom.
Oh, I'll just do it on Zoom. No, don't worry. If anyone has any specific questions, feel free to ask. So I am, as Dr. Marsden had mentioned, thank you very much for having me here today. The policy for JKAA was previously the physical restraint policy, and the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education back in March of 2025 brought it open for public feedback on changes that they wanted to make to this policy, specifically around seclusion and timeout. They made amendments to it and then brought it to a meeting in June of 2025 and then voted to adopt it. And as Dr. Marsden was saying, that will be effective of August 17th, 2026. So we have had some time to kind of look into this. During that time, DESE has said that they were going to come out kind of with a question and answer and some feedback for districts, and that just recently came out a couple months ago, and then they said that they were going to come out with some training and some kind of suggestions for presentations as well as recommendations for policies. They have not come out with that at this time, so we're kind of moving forward with the guidance that we received from DESE as well as the understanding of the new regulations, and moving forward because the policy needs to be in effect for August 17th. So I'm not going to kind of speak to the entirety of the policy. You have that within your packet, but I am speaking to some of the biggest changes. So one of those is in terms of the definition of seclusion, which they have updated to be the involuntary confinement of a student alone in a room without adult supervision from which the student is not permitted to leave. And I think that's a big piece that they're trying to kind of build into that definition. So if a student is within a room and is with an adult and has the ability to leave, that would not be something that is going to be considered seclusion. But that's the updated definition that they have put in place. There's a significant number of guidelines, again, that I will not kind of go into extreme detail, but that our policy will address, including about why we may be looking towards using seclusion and making sure that all of our other interventions have failed, and we have documentation of that, and that we have the following kind of 3 documentation pieces that are required, which would be that we have documentation from a licensed mental health professional that there's no psychological or behavioral justification for the use, and there are no psychological or behavioral contraindications. There also has to be documentation from a licensed physician that there are no medical contraindications, and there has to be written permission from the parent, and that permission needs to be updated each year. So those are things that if a district is going to be utilizing seclusion, we have to meet all 3 of those before we're able to even consider that. And there has to be a documented kind of past history of incidents that may require the use of seclusion as well. Then there's significant documentation if seclusion is used, obtaining the approval of the principal if it's going to be longer than 30 minutes. Many of this, the next kind of pieces mirror some of what we do and utilize for restraints at this time, but are being moved into the seclusion and timeout piece of things as well. We also have to make reasonable efforts to notify the parent if we're utilizing that as quickly as possible and following the same guidelines with restraints. So if it was used, we have to provide notification to the parent that it was used, and we have to provide documentation to the parent in their home language that it was used as well. And then we have to upload data to the state portal to indicate any time that we use a restraint or that we're using seclusion at this time. And then verbally informing the principal of its use as soon as possible, and no later than the next school working day by a written report if the principal was not available and able to be told verbally. In terms of documentation, again, this mirrors much of what we are required right now to do for restraints. So we have to conduct a weekly review of the data to identify students that we used the emergency intervention for multiple times during that week in a manner that's consistent, as I said, with the restraint. If students are identified, the principal is going to convene and review teams as the principal feels is appropriate and in consultation with the Director of Student Services, and then conducting a monthly review of school-wide data relating to the use of any emergency intervention. And as I said, these are all things that we already do for restraint, but this would be changed to include seclusion as well. And then examining and continuing to adopt alternatives and strategies for reducing and eliminating its use no later than 3 days from the effectiveness of this August 17th. So those are kind of new pieces that we also have to do. They also clarified for timeout that a student must be continuously observed by a staff member in an unlocked setting, again, from which the student is permitted to leave. And timeout rooms must be clean, safe, and sanitary, appropriate for the purpose of calming the student served, appropriately lighted, ventilated, heated, or cooled, consistent with the remainder of the building. So that is an important caveat in some of our buildings. Free of objects or fixtures that are inherently dangerous to the student, and the guidance kind of goes into what this might be and what that might entail. So things that are inherently dangerous. If there was a desk in a room, it is not expected that if a student is in a room and there might be a timeout, that every desk needs to be removed. Yes, it may become a problem, but that is not inherently dangerous in and of itself. So DESE did kind of qualify on that. When we first read that, we did believe that it meant every single thing that possibly could be used in that time, that DESE has kind of said that it has to be inherently dangerous. And then it has to also be in compliance with any applicable local fire and building code requirements. So those are the big changes in terms of this policy and how it differs kind of from our past policy, which solely focused on the restraint.
So this would be the informational, and then
Yes.
policy sub, we'll get together. And then the next meeting will be first and then second and go from there.
Okay.
That makes sense?
It seems overwhelming. What, are you thinking that these changes are going to be helpful to students, or is it just more bureaucracy?
I think that's a great question. I do think so. I hope so. We're always trying to look at practices and always trying to make sure that students are safe. I think this puts some procedural safeguards in place and makes sure that we are continuously reviewing what we're doing and making sure that what we're doing is right by students. And I am always excited by something of that nature. I do also think it's a big change to the regulations and the expectations, and it will take time to get staff. So we have been discussing kind of how we can do things with the leadership team during our leadership retreat, as well as with all staff during the opening days, and having our I may do a kind of full presentation to all staff, and then having our BCBAs or our board certified behavior analysts do smaller staff trainings for all of the staff at each building as well.
So timeout and seclusion can't be something that happens quickly. It sounds like you
No.
have to be planning in advance, and by the time the student is secluded, does he or she remember why he or she has been?
So for seclusion especially, we would not be able to do it without that written parent permission and a history of that. So seclusion would not be used until we kind of had multiple instances or a known behavior kind of tracking that we may have. Then we would be talking with the family, making sure that we had that medical and psychological kind of sign off that there was no contraindications, and then getting parent permission at the same time. And then it would be used in the time of the incident. So it's not as though we would be waiting. It would be known that is the only kind of alternative available at that time. And so we would be utilizing it, but it would not be happening until we've met all of those criteria first.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're also.
Yeah, I'm here again.
Okay, cool.
Some good news here. So under Mary's outstanding leadership of the department, the LEA determination came in. Mary's done an unbelievable job with the Student Services Department, and I think this assessment reflects it. So Mary, please go through that.
Absolutely, thank you. So each year, the LEA IDEA determination comes out from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and they look at different criteria each year. So they are always looking in the following kind of three categories, which involve performance, compliance, and then other considerations. So this year, they were looking at, and many of these repeat every year, and some kind of come some years and not other years, and they use different data points. So this year, this was for 25-26 determination, but it's using our data from 2 school years ago, just on the way that they kind of function with the data. So it was based off of the graduation rate, dropout rate, MCAS math, MCAS reading, LRE, which is the least restrictive environment for ages 5 through 21, LRE for ages 3 to 5, early childhood outcomes, post-school outcomes, as well as a variety of different indicators which look at our data, particularly around significant disproportionality for students that are being suspended or expelled, students that are qualifying for special education, and students that are qualifying for specific areas of special education, and whether we are over-identifying for students based off of race and ethnicity. And then they are looking at identification of non-compliance from problem resolution systems, which is a kind of branch of DESE. So anytime that there is a complaint that someone makes to problem resolution systems, someone from that department will reach out to the district and list out kind of everything that we need to provide to show evidence of whether or not we were meeting procedural requirements. So any identification of non-compliance from problem resolution systems or the public school monitoring, which I presented last year. We went through all of our public school monitoring where they come in and look at different aspects of special education, civil rights, and English language, and correction of any of those. And then they looked at whether or not we're meeting the maintenance of effort, and that is really looking at whether we are at least funding equally, if not more, for students of special needs from one fiscal year to the next. So if we are not meeting maintenance of effort, there's kind of counter actions that need to occur. And then we also do not get grant funding from the federal IDEA grants. And then timely submissions of equitable services child count and accurate and reliable child count for that area as well. There's a maximum of 35 points in all of those areas that they're looking at, and then they make it an LEA determination based off of that. So if you receive 75% to 100, you're meeting requirements. 65 to 74.9, you need assistance. 0 to 64.9, you need intervention. And then they also would say that you may need substantial intervention if there's a substantial failure to comply with the condition of LEA eligibility. So for this report, we received 33 out of 35 points for 94% determination percentage. Again, 75% is meeting requirements. So we met requirements resoundingly, and therefore we are not to engage in any kind of specific targeted or technical assistance activities.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yeah, nice job.
You said that teachers have professional development in this area, so they understand what's going on.
Yes, so we've done specifically around the significant disproportionality. We've done a great deal of work over the last 6 to 7 years specifically, really trying to look at making sure that what we are doing as a district in terms of evaluations, in terms of eligibility, in terms of determinations, that we are doing so consistently, that we are utilizing data, that we are making sure that we have a consistent understanding. And it's something that we continuously look at. every single month, I meet with the educational team leaders, and we walk through kind of case studies where we all will be presented with a case and then talk about what we would be doing, how we may be asking questions, what we might be making as in terms of a determination in order to help fulfill the kind of consistency piece of things. And then we are looking at creating, we've created a matrix in terms of evaluation so that there's a physical representation of the data so that people can be looking at the same thing together, and then building a compliance check from there as well.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mary.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
All right, so next up, we have the June 18th workshop on here. And I wanted to get people's thoughts. So we realized that with the vote on June 8th, we should probably have a meeting closer to June 8th in order to be able to finalize whatever decisions we need to finalize, specifically because the deadline is June 15th for the teachers.
Yes.
Yes. So we wanted to see if people were open to June 11th. And so we would move, I mean, we've already talked high level of the June 18th date is not going to work because of the last day of school probably anyway. But we would then have a June 11th meeting in place of the June 18th, if that works for people. And then agenda-wise, conceptually, it would be discussion about the determination of whatever happens on June 8th. And then we could kind of roll in some of the workshop topics that had bubbled up and kind of do a little bit more of the workshop concept there, but not have it be a half day. It would be more of like a school committee meeting timeline, or sorry, meeting time. Thoughts, questions?
Sounds good to me.
Does June 11th work for everybody?
6 o'clock, right?
That works. Okay, so the June 18th, it will be no longer, and our final meeting will be on June 11th at 6. Yes? Okay. All right, let's look at the 26, 27 school committee meeting dates. We're still in new business.
Sorry, I'm just moving my date.
Yeah, I got it, okay. Any question on the school committee meeting dates?
So I did add an additional meeting on the 29th for you to consider of April.
I did think that that looked a little heavier than usual.
Yeah, only because I think, based on what we went through this year with budget, and I'm sure we're doing the same thing again, that'd be prior to town meeting, so we'd have actually 2 meetings before town meeting, the 29th, which would be a regular meeting, and then the 3rd would be right before town meeting. So if there are any things we have to iron or close up or whatever for the budget, it made sense to have a 29th meeting as well, which we haven't done in a while. So I just added, I'm just bringing it to your attention. If you don't want to do it, that's fine too.
I mean, we can have it and then cancel it if we decide.
If we don't need to.
We're so late.
And then we didn't have a workshop
So
date, so
good
we
at
just
everything.
put that on there for TBD.
Okay. Any questions on the calendar, meeting dates?
No.
Do we vote on it?
You can, sure.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
Are
Yep,
we
yep,
just,
nope,
sorry,
go
the
ahead.
workshop next year, we often change it, though this is only my second year, so.
Yeah. It's listed as TBD.
Okay, so but it's still in there as a date, so that's why.
No,
I
it's
was-
not. June 3rd is a real meeting, and workshop
Oh.
that's a
TBD is the
separate
next
one.
Oh, that's a
column.
separate
Yeah,
vote.
yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
so that.
June 3rd would be our last meeting,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
workshop TBD is, we can get together and pick a date.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And we addressed the April vacation issue,
Thank you, I
believe.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the 26, 27 school committee meeting dates as stated?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, any other items since posting on May 12th?
I don't have any, Madam Chair.
Great. All right, going on to mobile phone social media task force update.
So we had our last meeting right before vacation, and we were looking at scheduling our second Medfield Talks Screenagers event. And we had scheduled it tentatively, and then we thought at the meeting, as I thought, that if there was a second night of town meeting, it would be the next night.
Oh, right.
And then we found out it was going to be the following Monday,
Yep.
which was going to be the date that we were going to do that. So I know that Nat and Mary are working on getting feedback from the other members of the group to see if there's another time in May, we can get one more in before
Yeah.
the end of the school year. But that's what kind of messed up our
Right.
plan for Screenagers, so.
Time of year.
It's tough.
It is a tough
It's
time of
tough
year.
this time of year. So the good thing is we have the licenses for Screenagers, so we have them that we can use some in the fall next year and some in the spring as well. So
Okay.
there's 4 movies, so.
Do a nice summer movie night with one of those blow-up screens.
We do that on the turf. That'd be great, actually.
Okay.
You might get people to
Inviting
come.
you, Leo.
Any
So
oth-
that's where we are with that.
Okay. Anything else on that?
I just would add one more thing.
Yeah.
So since our last meeting, we did receive, superintendents received an email from Andrea Campbell, the Attorney General. I feel like she's tired of waiting for the legislature to pass the bill. So they just put out some grants for school districts that want to do, excuse me, bell to bell. There's a whole grant process, which we're going to talk about at leadership to see whether we're going to apply for that. But we want to talk to you folks about it as well, and the task force. Because it is, from what we looked at, it is requiring bell to bell as part of the grant. Because that's what the legislature, half of them have voted and half of them haven't on it. And I know that when Andrea put all that stuff out last year, it was all based on bell to bell. So it's probably a broader conversation for all of us to talk about, but that was we just got that last week.
What would the grants cover?
Yeah, that was my question. What's the grant for?
It appears that it would cover things like blanking on the name of thank you, yonder pouches, those kinds of things. So right now, we use the regular shoe ones that you put in. So it would cover that. It would cover any administrative costs, I think, that for extra time based on the time of kids coming to put them in, locking them, and all that kind of stuff. So we're just kind of taking a look at it and see whether it makes sense for us or not.
Are you using anything like the yonder pouch?
We use the yonder pouches,
Yeah.
and we're bell to bell, and I think
Yeah.
our principal actually testified.
Is it,
It has been
successful?
fabulous.
Has it?
We were classroom to classroom, and then we moved bell to bell, maybe like 4 years ago, I don't know what. And we thought that it was gonna be a lot harder than it was. Like, we were anticipating, like, a Saving Private Ryan, like, fight at the beginning. Like, when kids walked in, they had to lock their phones up, and it
Yeah.
was, I mean, they hide them in very interesting ways, but like, it's
You know it's coming, Hillary. Yeah, you're next.
It's in time to graduate.
She's off to
Yeah, she's
college.
done.
I know, I'm saying, but the question's coming your way. Are you glad you're dodging that bullet, or?
I think having the phone caddies is definitely helpful because it reduces distraction in school, especially in AP classes when you really need to focus. So I think the shoe caddy is helpful. I'm not going to experience having bell to bell, but I hope that all goes well.
We
Yeah,
can.
I think I've had mixed feelings about bell to bell, but our kids are doing a really, really good job with the caddies right now. I just worry about so many of our kids, within a year or two, you send them off to school and there's no one doing a yonder pouch or a caddy, and they gotta kind of figure out how to manage it by themselves, but, so, definitely worth the conversation, though.
And Kira, you're taking over for Hillary, correct? Welcome. Do you have any thoughts on how the situation's been going with mobile phones?
Yeah, I think, like Hillary said, the phone caddies are super helpful. You put them in like right when you walk into the classroom, and so there is not really any room to be distracted in class. I think like going bell to bell can also be beneficial because at one time you can't have your phone out in a class period, like during flex periods, and I feel like that will force kids to be productive in that sense. Like, I think you'll definitely be more inclined to go to a teacher if you don't have your phone to like scroll on social media and things like that. So. Yeah, I'm definitely open to it next school year. I feel like there will definitely have to be like an adjustment period, but I think it can be helpful for everybody.
That's good feedback.
My curiosity is, how would you get access to your Flex app to?
You can have it on the computer.
Can you? Yeah.
And teachers can do it for you also.
Yeah, I think the cell phone during flex period is going away, so. It was a little experiment this year as part of it. I think.
Oh, really? That's-
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to
Just
last.
say it probably
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
Now that you're leaving, you can give your
Yeah.
real opinion on these things.
Let's meet after graduation, Hillary, and hear all the things that needs to happen.
We do a guest, we'll have you back as a guest
Yeah.
speaker, yeah.
Okay, SBC.
Yes, what is the latest in the SBC? We had a very productive meeting where we finalized the designer RFS, which is the bid to go out to solicit an architect, essentially. It's a very controlled process from a procurement process, from being, from the state procurement process, and then the actual MSBA process. So it's doubly subscribed, which makes it a little easier, but I believe it's on the street now. Is that-
It is for day one, 24 firms requested and received it.
Excellent. So we have 24 interested architects who at least pulled down the documents. And it could be engineering firms as well who are pulling those documents who may be interested in working on the project with an architect, so.
Right, 10 of the 24 were lead architectural firms.
Excellent. So, and that was the bulk of our meeting, if I recall, that day. So that's the latest update, and so we're excited to, this is where the fun stuff really starts to happen. So Rosalie, you're gonna dive right in, right to the fun stuff. Right? And it was voted that Michelle Kirkby will be representing the school committee on the designer selection committee. We get to send 3 people to the designer selection committee to select the designer through the RFP process. We'll all be updated as a committee, through the process. But and then MSB, there's a final voting process after we've our internal designer selection committee has put them forward, and then the designer selection committee as a whole with MSBA will select, they'll vote on one and hopefully vote someone that the internal group really liked, so we'll see.
And Carolyn Casey and Bill Werner had the other 2 votes.
Yes.
Okay, on to community engagement and communication. So I talked to Mike a little bit earlier today. This would be a place that we could kind of chat about, like the Q&A info session that you guys want to host, right?
Yep.
So do you want to talk a little about what it would be, and like we can kind of talk through like when it would be and how we might advertise about it and things like that?
Well, I can start, and then Rosalie,
Yeah,
feel free to jump in. Rosalie and I had, specifically during our campaign, talked about doing a Q&A meet and greet with the voters. Following the election, we had planned to do that, in sometime after we were elected. We didn't want to let it wait for too long. I think Rosalie and Michelle touched base a couple of weeks ago on this. Michelle and I talked about it today. In between then and Rosalie and I had landed on doing that next week. Would you like to add anything so far, or?
Well, the idea was not so much to talk about what we would do, but more to thank the people who come, and also to find out what their hopes and thoughts were about what we could do for them. And it was more less formal than having a school committee gathering. It's really not intended to be that. We're got the safety committee room in the police department, and we're going to bring some water and juice and cookies, which always brings out people. Chocolate chip cookies, maybe. And again, it's more just to say thank you. Here we are. We're representing you. We have some thoughts and ideas, too, but we really want to hear from them. So it's more an informal gathering, I think, is what we would think.
Okay, So like a thank you with Mike and Rosalie, like thanking the community, like.
Say that again?
Sounds like a
What would you
listening,
call
is it a
it?
listening session? It sounds like a listening session.
Listening session, okay.
Both of those, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's part of the strategic plan, you know, to have more of those, so that's.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Just a chance for
Is there a
people
date to
come out.
plug here for our wide audience?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Just nice to have people get together in
Yeah.
the town and time to just listen to what they have to say.
So you were saying that it's going to be at the Public Safety Building?
Yes.
Okay, and you had originally scheduled it for this coming Tuesday, right? Did you want to stick with that date, or do you want to do something later and we can advertise more?
What do you think?
Or you can let me know. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just
No,
trying to
fair
make sure we're
question.
not-
And I'm happy to, you know, yeah, just on the flip side, I'm happy to be flexible. It is possible I have underestimated the importance of publicizing things, publicizing this.
Actually, I left it up to you. I went away and said, this is your baby.
Well, it was that, and I had sort of plugged it when I was, you know, when
Why don't-
myself and Sophia were talking to folks, you know, driving up support for town meeting, but we hadn't posted anything in a, you know, like Facebook-y
Yeah.
major public forum type of way. So there's.
I mean, maybe we
nobody
should, I don't know.
Well, that was part of the, that was sort of on my list of, as an off day today, to do that today, but as I was talking to you, and then I think, Michelle, you were, I don't want to put words in my mouth, but concerned about the timing, or?
Well, it
No,
is
I
the
was just
same
saying if
night.
we're going to be publicizing it and you're having it this coming Tuesday, that's just not a lot of time, right? Like, so if we're having a listening
Yeah.
session, if you guys are having a listening session, we want to just make sure we can let people know so they can come
Sure.
chat.
Also the same night as MCPE's.
I was just, it's the
Right,
same
that's
night as
true,
the
too.
Zulu Gallery event, which starts at 7 o'clock at the Zulu Gallery.
Yeah.
That would be.
You might run into that every day.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
So you-
also
So,
true.
So you could do 6 o'clock, and then people can mosey on over to 7 o'clock.
I think what time do we have? 6 o'clock? I think we have 6 o'clock.
I think it was 6 o'clock
So
anyway.
as I said, I got the room, I got the cookies, I've got the water.
They already booked a room and cookies, so I'm there for the cookies. so.
You can't go unless we publicize a meeting.
not allowed.
I'm not going to converse with them.
Okay, why don't you guys just circle back and let me know how you want us to help us publicize this as a listening session.
Thank you.
Any other community engagement or communication updates?
There's one thing I forgot to mention.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that came to my mind afterwards when the DC trip was mentioned, was that K-8 is also, currently has $20,000 set aside for class accounts. So when the DC trip, there was some concern about its viability a couple of years ago. There was the idea to, in kindergarten, start class accounts, and with the goal of saving at least $1,000 per class that will then follow and go to like whole class things, with the thought of it kind of mostly going to the DC trip, depending on sort of what happens. You know, the DC trip, they said it's good this year, and they actually think it's good next year too, but, so I mean, I think it'll go to whole class things otherwise, but, I think it was announced last year it was supposed to happen, but as they're changing treasurers and banks, it's just taking longer. So it is set aside, which is great. And I think it's awesome that they're thinking, like, the forward thinking and the planning is fabulous.
Yeah, I like that too.
I really like that.
All right, anything else under that topic? Okay. Informational items. Hillary, this is your last night with us, or are you coming back in June?
We'll see. I might. But Student Council for Teacher Appreciation Week, we went around to the teachers, and it was during Flex, and we had a cart of snacks and goodies and kind of gave them out to them along with a nice note for each teacher. It was unexpected, so I think it was really appreciated, and I think they really enjoyed it. Seniors' last day of school is tomorrow, but Senior Service Days will be happening on May 18th and the 19th, along with the National Business Honor Society ceremony, which is on the Monday, May 18th, and
What is Senior Service Day?
Senior Service Day. So if you are in a spring sport or have like attendance or grade-wise, you might need to come in to do service days. If you have good attendance, you don't have to come in because it's taking 2 unexcused absences. So it depends on kind of your status.
And it's physically here.
Yep, you come into the school, it's 4 hours a day, and it depends if it's 1 or 2 days.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us this year.
Thank you, Hillary.
It's been great having you, and welcome, Kira. We're excited to have you too. All right, anybody else have anything under informational items?
I have a couple things.
Go for it.
Just want to recognize that we had our Flip the Switch event on Monday, which was really great. I want to thank the members of the Energy Committee and who really organized that and did a great job with that. That was a great event for us to showcase our new solar energy at Memorial School. We've gotten some bills already since it's been on for a little bit, but we did the ceremonial Flip the Switch. We had a bill the other day for the whole month at Memorial for $75.
Wow.
So we're actually generating more than we need at Memorial. We're getting credits. It's really awesome. So we're really happy about that. We talked with the folks at Select in possibly doing something in other buildings. So we have Blake, we have there, and I talked to them a little bit about some ideas of how it would work on the hill back here, which is the green space where we can't even mow it anymore because of the angles. Would they be able to put solar there? And they said that's something they could definitely do. So they'll be in front of you again, I'm sure, in the fall, talking about additional projects. But we've really have seen the benefit of it, and the project went really, really well in August. I mean, I was concerned the whole time about whether or not they're going to be done before school started, and they came through with that, and it's really working well for the district. So I'm still not in favor of having anything out here in the parking lot, but there's other places that we could do solar in this building that would really generate money for the district. So happy about that. I want to thank the Energy Committee again for organizing that for us. Also, prom was a couple weeks ago, and since our last meeting, that went really well. I thought it went really well. It was a new venue that we haven't been at a different venue for, I think, 11 or 12 years now. So we've been at Gillette for all that time, and they originally told us that we couldn't be there because of the FIFA, and then they changed, and we'd already booked that, but I thought it was a great spot. It was a really good spot. I think as an adult superintendent, I think Gillette is nicer because of the containment. This was a little spread out with outdoor and indoor, and it was all kind of all over the place, but our kids were great as always, and it really worked out well for us. And then lastly, we have graduation coming up and all the fun that goes with that. So May 30th is graduation. Hopefully, if you can be there, we'd love to have you, and lots of senior events leading up to that. So really exciting time of year for our kids and for our seniors, and we really look forward to it. So thank you.
Great. Anything else? All right. Do we hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. See you guys in June.
Thank you.